Hello, everyone, and welcome to the OUG Emerging Leaders February webinar. My name is Samantha Ogon, and I'm the OUG staff liaison for the OUG Emerging Leaders. This call is being recorded, and you are all currently on mute, but we do highly encourage you to ask questions. If you have any questions at any time during this webinar, don't hesitate to write it in the question box, and we'll answer all of the questions at the end of this presentation. And before we start the webinar, I just want to go through a couple of things with the OUG, including who we are, the OUG Emerging Leaders. And then I will also give you some more helpful OUG resources that you can take advantage of after this call. So to start, the Emerging Leaders are here for those of you who are new to their career or new to Oracle. We are focused on helping you get to your career started on the right foot, building your professional network with peers and mentors, and staying up to date with the Oracle applications community. And it's also a place to share helpful information or to ask questions and discuss the information with your peers. So we host webinars like this one, along with professional development focused webinars. And we host a networking event at Collaborate that includes a group of mentors with different expertise that are here to help you connect and answer any questions on their subject area. You can find our page on the OUG website under the membership tab to get involved. And on that page, you can also take a survey to request future webinars, watch our past webinars on YouTube, and sign up for our email list to receive information on future webinars. And then after our webinar, you can find more resources related to our topic today on the OUG website. On the screen, you can see a picture of our current Pro Tips video with Christia Johnson, who's an OUG member who works for Polk County Board of Commissioners. Christia takes 5 minutes to share her recent move from on-premises to the cloud. So it's a really helpful and short video to watch. In addition, you can join the Hyperion EPM stake. This is one of our user community groups that puts on webinars throughout the year, and it's a good way to reach out to other Hyperion EPM members with any questions. And finally, members can also log into our website and access our conference paper database and search for topics based on your interest area. The database has thousands of papers and presentations from our past Collaborate conferences, and is a good resource to find information and individuals that might be able to assist in your projects. And then I did mention in my first slide about the Collaborate Emerging Leaders Networking event, and you can join us at that event at Collaborate, which is another great resource. You can receive education and networking with over 1,200 sessions, 5,000 other professionals, and 200 exhibitors that you'll be able to connect and learn with in one spot. Our sessions include real-world scenarios and experiences straight from other users to help you get your firsthand experience and advice. There's still time to get early bird pricing for Collaborate if you register by March 8th, and OUG members will save the most on their registration. And then if you do want to attend the Emerging Leaders Networking event, you automatically get access to that event if you register with the OUG. You can find more information about the conference coming this April, including browsing through our sessions at collaborate.oug.org. And that brings us to our presentation. So I'd like to introduce you to our presenter, Abhi Raina. He is the EPM Practice Director for AST LLC. He's a solutions architect and an Oracle certified champion with over 20 years of industry experience in the domains of Oracle EPM, BI, financials, and manufacturing and CRM applications. He's led multiple Oracle implementations and upgrade projects as a solutions architect and lead, both in cloud and on-premises versions. In all stages of the system cycle, performing solution design, requirement analysis, design, construction, conversion, testing, and post-implementation support. And with that, I'd like to hand the presentation off to Abhi.
Thank you, Samantha. I think you said it all. There's nothing left for me to say. Thank you. And first of all, thanks for giving me this opportunity to present here. As Samantha said, almost 20 plus years working with our Oracle tech stack, from ERP to CRM to EPM, and last many years done many planning and budgeting implementations. So today, as part of this presentation, I want to highlight primarily on this particular product, and also the key learnings, the do's and don'ts and best practices that I have learned in the course of many years, and I want to share with all of you here. And I put together this quick agenda here, giving you overview of the particular product we're talking about, PBCS. We call it Planning and Budgeting Cloud Service. Again, share the tips and tricks you want to call our to-dos and best practices we have, and also talk a little bit on the lift and shift. Having existing on-prem applications and how do we move them to cloud. Again, from a planning point of view, I'll focus more on the planning product and leave some time for Q&A. So quickly about AST. AST has been, that's a company I work for. I'm part of the EPM practice. It has been in business for 22 years, and we are platinum partners. And not only that, we are also cloud premium partners, which only a handful of them. But what I wanted to highlight was my experience with AST has been really, really tremendous. Many complex and exciting projects that I worked, both from the ERP as well as primarily from the EPM side on planning and budgeting projects that I worked. And I today want to share some of that learning with all of you and go from there. So cloud. Definitely, it has changed the way things are happening now. It is next big thing, right? And this is what I used to think about cloud. It's up in the cloud, but it is actually changing, and it's not a bubble for sure. It is here to stay. It is a big market. 411 billion. That's what Gartner thinks by 2020. Few years back when I had seen these numbers, I don't think they were 400. So the projections which they are done also increasing because of the fact that it is here to stay. It is the next big thing. So having said that, obviously last 2 years I'm also seeing a lot of traction and a lot of projects moving towards the cloud or uptake of cloud. So having said that, let's focus on this particular product, PBCS. PBCS is what we know Hyperion Planning in the older world. It had been there for a long time. Then in 2007, I believe, yeah, it was 2007, Oracle acquired this product, and in 2014 Feb actually released the cloud version of it. And from there on, it's catching up like a wildfire. It is, in my opinion, one of the best product in cloud world which Oracle has offered. I'm sure there are others. Maybe I'm a little biased because that's what I do. But if you see this number of subscription, this data is a little older. I probably couldn't get a new one, but I know it is much more than these. It is worldwide growing, and there's so many customers which are coming and uptaking this particular solution. Definitely the tier one or number one solution from a planning point of view in the market right now. And as I said, I will focus my discussion today primarily on what are the best practices that we need to keep in mind when we are implementing or we are upgrading or we are doing a lift and shift to the cloud for a product for a project like this. So I kind of highlighted some few areas, very critical areas, like choosing the right implementation partner, because that's where we start from, the right team, having the right security in place, change management, another very important topic to discuss, and training and post-implementation. Also, a little bit time on lift and shift, because many of the customers have their existing Hyperion Planning, which is on-prem. They're probably working on an older version, and showing them what is the best way, best approach to move to the cloud. So do a little bit and talk about that as well. So having said that, let me pick up this topic of right implementation partner. So I think when you, as a customer, are looking for a project to implement on a planning and budgeting side, or from a generic project, from a cloud project perspective, what are the things that you have to keep in mind? There are many SIs. As I said, with so many customers that it has come up from 2000 2014 itself, only on the cloud side, and we're not talking about on-prem customers, which are much, much more than that. That is not possible with a handful of SIs. There are many, many SIs in the market. So when you go out, look for an implementation partner, it's a very tough job to find the right partner because there are many of them, right? So in that case, you need to go back and find out what their qualifications are, how many years of experience they have, what is the experience of the consulting staff they have, what is the certification level, because in the cloud, you have to keep yourself up to date. We at AST, we get a higher push from our top management, all the resources, all the experts who are working on this, they have to be up to date on the certification. That's what we want to ensure. We want to check as a customer that what is the level of certifications everybody has. If there are references, go back and check and talk to their existing customers or their past customers, the level of work they have done. These things are important because devoting a good amount of time is very important here in choosing the right implementation partner. Check their methodology, what their methodology is, how much of success they had in the past, their track record, all these things. You have to go back and ensure that your partner, implementation partner, has all these qualifications in place. So once you choose your implementation partner, you may pick up the one best out of the top 5 system integrator or consulting firm. That does not mean that you have a successful project, right? What is more important is also the team that you build when you put together a team for your implementation. Now, the right team also from the system integrators, having the right expertise from their side, having the right leadership from their side is also very important. But also from your side as a customer, you need to ensure that you have the right staff from your side, right subject matter experts from your side, right technical or administrators from your side involved in the project. I've done so many implementations in the past. I can think of one implementation where we were going great with one expert, and the expert knew everything about the planning part and everything, but that person was not a decision maker at all, and we really hit the wall. We're not able to move forward. So decision making capabilities within the team, within your team, is very important. Somebody has to take a right call, because this is not implementation alone. It's a transformation that I call transformation of business through this new implementation. So when you transform a business, you need to ensure that you have the right call to make. So that means you also have the support from your executive management, from your top management. That support is very, very important, very, very critical. You need to ensure that you have steering committee meetings with your management, with your system integrators, if not weekly, maybe bi-weekly, maybe monthly, depending upon the span of the project. But you want to ensure that you want to involve those key people in the team and make it the right team, because that's what makes the project successful. Now, moving on to the kind of moving to the phases of the project here, and that's how I kind of put together this presentation so that people can understand the flow. Data model, which it sounds a little technical here, but in the planning world we live in, it's not really technical. You understand as a customer your financial system very well. You understand your chart of account very well. You understand your source system, say project information which is coming up. Maybe your FTE information coming from your HRMS system that you want to come up and build a workforce planning. You know your systems very well, and you need to ensure that your SI is involving you during those requirement gathering discussions and taking the right feedback. You also provide them the right information of different systems. They're like, for example, chart of account segments, different charts, their hierarchies, their structure, details like source systems, and keep them aware of all and everything, provide them right documentation so that they can go through. That is very critical at the beginning of the project, because that is going to build the foundation of your project, primarily for this planning implementation project. That's where you will be able to build data forms and business rules and business and reports and everything. So spending good time ensuring that the integration route is defined, whether you want to go with in the cloud world, there are REST APIs which are more like a web services if you're aware. Again, I don't want to get into technical, but having that bridge structure defined between your source system, say financial system, and the planning system, that is very important, that you want to ensure and devote a good amount of time here as well. The next important thing also is security. We all know about security is very critical. Yes, it is, no doubt. And planning, primarily the space world, has a very detailed security architecture. I have done so many different applications. I worked with ERP, CRM, and many of them. But I really love the way security framework is defined within the planning application. It can go to any depth, any detail. You can actually go to individual account and define a security around that particular account, a particular line item. But then you really don't want to overcomplicate it, because remember, once your system integrators are done, they define the structure for you, they're gone, then it's you who has to manage and maintain it. So I would recommend keep it simple, straightforward, but still fulfilling what you want to do and what you want to achieve from a security point of view, right? So don't define your security around users, because users can come and go. Define your security around groups, departments. Define, create groups which are, like your departments, similar to that. Define around that so that you can always, because people move from one department or they leave the organization, you can always plug and play there, right? So that makes your life absolutely easy. Define your rules around. If you have, if you're using Active Directories and LDAP, the system, the planning application has this capability, and most of the applications have that capability to uptake that, integrate with that, and so that you have one single sign-on, one place. So ensure that security is straightforward. And for example, if you have department users entering, say, a planning budget, or they're running some kind of planning from a forecasting point of view, maybe demand forecasting, maybe sales forecasting, or doing FTE, workforce planning, you want to give them only that specific access through the group, through the group security, so that they can only see that. That's what, so that structure you need to define. You need to ensure that you spend time with your system integrator, test it thoroughly, and define the structure. The next important thing, and in my opinion, I think this is the most important thing, and the reason is you can have the best implementers or system integrators. You have the best team in place. You have the best software in place. But if the people who are going to use don't uptake it, that's all waste. It's all a loss, right? So change management is the critical part for any project, especially for the cloud, because when I talk to different customers, there is still a level of resistance for a cloud. People think, oh, it's not secure, why should I? We need to answer those questions. The fact remains, cloud is more secure than your on-prem, right? Because the level of infrastructure that Oracle provides from a security point of view, I don't think you can take care of, and you have that much infrastructure or money to do that. So that's something from a change management point of view, we need to clarify and answer those questions. Now, I would highly recommend you as a customer to take a lead on change management rather than relying on your system integrator to take a lead on change management. The reason is, you know your organization well, you know your culture very well, you know your people very well, right? You know those few folks who are very adamant to change, right? Involve those people. I remember one project where, you want to call it a noisemaker, we knew that this person may not change. We made him an advocate for change management, and everything worked very well. So involving those people right from the beginning, say people from different departments, because they are the one who are going to change, they will provide you the right feedback, and they get ready to uptake this new system in place down the line, because you got to show them the value of the new system. So it is very critical that you involve them and answer those questions right from the beginning. Answer those questions: why this system? What is the add-on? Because it's a process transformation. Typically the users, and especially somebody who's close to the retirement, have been doing a business in a certain way using Excel spreadsheets and having a model defined in some Excel system and all that stuff. And I've seen that. That they will continue and they want to, they love it, fine. But we need to show them the value addition, how the system is going to help you. How is the system going to make your life easy and better? I think those values and have to be shown, have to be presented to them so that they uptake it. So again, very, very important to have the change management leads in place so that they can do the right coaching to everyone. Training. We all know that training is critical, but we need to ensure that, and typically system integrators will start and provide you the training as part of the implementation. That's their job, because this is a new system, new application that is in place. But again, we don't want to have a training which is with a wide brush, right? We just want to ensure that it's all very focused training, right? It's all rule-based. Specific training specific to administrators or technical folks, training specific to super users, power users, or department users, so that it becomes very easy to focus on that particular target audience. So it's very critical that you have a very focused training. You need to ensure that you have right material. Having a rule-based training makes life easy from a material point of view also. You have, say, one very simple and straightforward material for your department users that you can leverage down the line many years. As when your system integrators are done, the system is live, everything's going fine, you can always leverage, because every year you probably have to train new folks who are joining from in different departments, right? And they want to use the system. You hand over those small manuals or small guides, training guides, and conduct a very structured and focused training that is only leveraged for those guys. Similarly, power users and super users or administrator, you have a specific. So having screenshots, having read the manuals, you need to ensure that your system integrators does provide you these details, that level. And it can be, you can also have, if you want, outside trainers. Oracle University offers that, and system integrators like us, we are certified. We offer that kind of training as well, if very well. One other important thing is I highly recommend that before you uptake this particular project, key people who are involved in the project should go through the training. There are a lot of online documentations on online trainings, a lot of material, so that you understand the system, the application from a user point of view, from a process point of view, and what it can do. That is very, very helpful. System integrators should involve you right from the beginning. That's what we, as a company, AST, we do that. But that's something, you need to ensure that you are involved. The key user, the subject matter experts are involved right from the beginning into this process. So that is also something very, very important that you need to keep in mind, because once you're involved from the beginning, you can then provide the right feedback, right inputs to your implementers, so that they can understand and you can understand their language together. That is another very important factor you need to keep in mind. Now on the post implementation, so let's assume that you are all done, everything is going well, you went live, system is doing very well, but going live is fine. I mean, being number one is fine, but maintaining yourself number one, maintaining your success is very critical, right? You have the best system integrators, they implement, they will do everything, and they're gone after a certain contract period. then you have your own. You need to ensure that you can self-drive the car, you can drive the car. And that can only happen when you are involved right from the beginning, and also ensure those key project members from the system integrators, they still remain for some time after the post-implementation. We always recommend, depending upon the span of the project, maybe a month, maybe 2 months or 3 months, whatever works out well for you. Let them be there, and during this process, because till go live, you typically, in an IT project, you're too much involved in so many things going on with your testing and documentation and training and taking care of so many things. It's only after go live you have some breathing time. Spend time with your integrators. Spend time with them in the knowledge, gathering that knowledge, and getting all the documentation. And maybe you are driving and they are sitting on the side in the car, but during that time, so that you have a proper transition and knowledge transition of the system. That is a critical part. I've seen some other projects, some other SIs, where immediately after the go live, staying there for a week, and then they are gone, and they replaced with some other junior staff. Now again, that can create a problem, because you need those key people who have been working with you for the whole duration of the project. So again, keep this in mind, that post-implementation time is as important as your complete implementation time, because that's a transition time, that's a critical phase that you want to ensure that your transitions are done properly. Now moving on to lift and shift. As I said, Hyperion planning, it has been there for many, many years. It's only 2014 Oracle got it on cloud. It was 2017 Oracle bought Hyperion, if some of you know, and from there on, people have still using. There are some bigger implementation of all sizes that people have on-prem. But the fact is, and I don't want to get into the plus and minuses of cloud. Of course, we all know that now. There's huge advantage of moving to cloud from a capital point of view, from management and maintenance point of view. So that's the reason people are moving, and I've seen, and we have done many upgrade implementations. When I say upgrade, means lift and shift implementations. So need to ensure that, first of all, there is a program, which is Oracle's program called Customer to Cloud. If you have existing licenses of on-prem, you can certainly leverage that program and of moving your licenses. I'm sure there is a, I don't know very detail of it, but I know that this program is going to help existing customers to move and provide some discounts in terms of moving to cloud. And once you have that, you need to ensure that moving to cloud, depending upon the application, can be a simple and a quick process. As I said, depending on the application, you can quickly move. I've seen doing implementation which are 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks to 8 weeks. It's pretty straightforward. There's certain guidelines, and I don't want to get into technical here, but doing the process, it's pretty straightforward. But we need to ensure that you move the application to cloud. You want to devote time for testing for sure. And another thing is the old on-prem still uses, if somebody's on the older version, the standard interface, if you are aware of. But the new cloud, it has something called simplified interface, and it's really, as the term says, simplified, really simplified, and it's pretty straightforward and very well done interface, more like a iPad style. I always say that interface. But having said that, that means there is an uptake, there is a change management involved here, because the users who have been using old Hyperion system in a certain fashion, the training material is done in a certain fashion. Then you got to retrain them. You got to redefine your training material, and obviously the number of clicks and the path to reach, say, open up a form or run a business rule, things have changed. It has improved tremendously in cloud. But having said that, there's a UI change. So keep that in mind, that new UI change you have to uptake, you have to devote a time for this as well, as part of your implementation process cycle for your, for your lift and shift process. I need to ensure that your data is all tested thoroughly, which is the key element, and obviously all your different artifacts are tested thoroughly. I think that is the key thing that you need to keep in mind in this lift and shift. Now, on a broader level, the recommendations are there are from a cloud point of view, PBCS, when you have a subscription, it's a user base, it's a SaaS model. You get two environments. One typically we put for prod, another we typically have for a test instance. If you have a decent big user base and kind of a good bigger footprint, we always recommend that you have another set of environments. Say, for example, if you have say 100 user licenses, that you have 100 user licenses for application, you have 2 applications or 3 applications. So now we would recommend have 10 user subscription for additional 10 user subscription for users, and keep that. You'll get 2 more environments, by the way, because one subscription get 2 environments. You get 2 more environments, and that you can use for your development and maybe for training, because one you can use for dev. Now with that, you have 4 environments to play with. One environment typically for prod and test, another one for your development and doing any kind of activities, because the fact remains once in 2 years you have some major upgrades coming up. It's cloud, and so it will request you to upgrade those, and you want to go ahead and ensure that you test it, because the way Oracle does it, first install that upgrade on your test instance and gives you a window. Within that window you have to go back and test it properly, and then Oracle will update it on the prod instance. So having that additional 2 environments gives you enough time without disturbing the core environment that you can play with, you can test, you can thoroughly, or you're doing any modifications or any report additions and any kind of new forms, you can always use that as a testing ground. So that's highly recommended from our side. And simplified interface, I already talked about it. You need to uptake that as you know, because obviously it's a better interface. And always go back to different documentations which are available online on the Oracle website. So that is another area, because unlike other applications where it takes a little while to figure out, the documentations itself are available online within the cloud subscription that you have. There are videos, there are links, there's a help, all that details. So not really you have to go back and Google, but rather you can go to the application itself and go through those documentations. New updates which are coming up every month. There's an update. These are just like a patches, we used to call them, and those patches are because it's cloud, it will ensure that you are on the latest and the greatest. Any issues that somebody else has encountered, you don't encounter, and those fixes are done. So typically patches every month, and little bigger upgrades are happening twice a year, and you need to ensure that you have the appetite to really test that. Again, we have never seen any issues on that front where there is any time taken to test. I think we as a SI recommend a very well-defined time and script for those uptakes, which typically if you are on-prem, you would also do it maybe 1 year, 2 year down the line. But here it's a little bit more, but efforts are much lesser than what you have in the on-prem. Just want to highlight that because that is one of the concerns people have. I just want to bring it up, but the fact remains that it is actually not, just like Microsoft gives you an update for your operating system. So I just want to conclude here that what the key to success is definitely choosing the right partner, as I said, and the right team, because that's what makes you successful. Defining your scope and you should exactly know what you want. If you know exactly what you want, that's what you can ask your SIs to provide that from a configuration point of view. And change management, as I said, I spend a little time on that because I know that is very critical. Uptake by the of the application is very important. Training approach and involving your stakeholders at any, because you don't want to hit a wall. You definitely want to involve them, have regular meetings, and keep them ready. You want to avoid any kind of risk in the project. You don't want to have red in the project. So that can only happen when you involve the stakeholders right from the beginning, so that they guide you in the whole implementation process. So those are some of the key learnings that I want to share with all of you, and I think we'll open up the floor for any questions.
And if you do have any questions, please type them into the question box right now, and then I'll read them off so you can get your question answered. And we do have a question already. It says, as best practice, where do you run FDME from? Do you keep it on-prem? How do you justify moving it to the cloud if one of the key components stays on-prem?
Well, I think that is doable. You can continue with the FDME, and there is also the FDME Lite part, which is within the cloud. We call it FDME Lite, which is EPM Automate Utility, that has the framework to really have the integration done. So typically, the FDME on on-prem will create the structure, the data structure that is an appetite for the PBCS. And then on the PBCS side, you can use either using the EPM Automate Utility, you can leverage the flat files to pick up that file, the data, or use the REST APIs, which are more like web services, to pick up the data and have the integration built in. So there are like multiple combinations of doing that, but yes, you can definitely leverage it.
Let's see, there is another question. Does PSPB remain outside the scope of PBCS Enterprise?
What's the question? I'm sorry, the ePBCS or PBCS? I'm sorry, I couldn't get it.
Let me just repeat the whole thing. Does PSPB remain outside the scope of PBCS Enterprise?
PSPB, I think public sector planning and budgeting, I said that's what it is meant, because I know PSPB is public sector planning and budgeting. No, really, actually, if the question is around how do we move our existing on-prem public sector planning and budgeting to the cloud, that is doable. Although it sounds like it's not in the realm, but we as AST, we have done that. That we have moved the on-prem public sector planning and budgeting to the cloud, and that is absolutely within the realm of PBCS.
All right, and then we do have the question: does EPMA allow custom script like FDME?
Yeah, you can write. Yeah, it has a script that it comes up with some default, and you can go back and manipulate that as well.
All right, and then we have the question of how do you decide the approach of choosing between PBCS and Enterprise PBCS? Oracle seems to push more features to ePBCS.
Yeah, so I know these acronyms. Oracle loves them, and we also love them. These different acronyms. So, so ePBCS, PBCS is more like the same core. What we call a core planning application, which is Hyperion, and it obviously, as lots of folks must be knowing, it's a framework of application that allows you to configure quickly your application from a planning point of view. And ePBCS is Oracle's pre-built modules using the framework of PBCS itself, or core planning. There are like workforce planning and capital asset project planning and financial statement planning. All that modules are pre-built by Oracle to make users' life easy and quickly uptake those. So that really cuts down, because all you do is you leverage the existing set of framework or module, just like in the ERP world, if people can relate that easily, and implement and plug in those. All you have to do is basically plug in all your source data and the existing framework in terms of business rules and data forms, and everything is already there. All you have to do is configure it. So from a product point of view, from a framework point of view, there is no difference. But only thing is the functionality and the modules. One has a module, other is a core. Right.
All right. And then what is the per user subscription cost for PBCS, and does that include product support?
The subscription cost is $120 per user, and it's, as I said, it's a SaaS based, it's per user based. There's a minimum number of users, I believe it's 10. Yes, it does includes the support, because it doesn't. You don't have to pay additional for the support. Everything is put together. As long as your subscription is active, your support is active.
All right. It looks like I don't have questions in my question box anymore. If we could give a minute more if you guys have any questions from some of the other people's questions. Is there anything you'd like to add, Abhi?
No, I think that's it. PBCS, I think we talked about it, and I at this point I cannot. If you have questions, you can shoot me an email. Let me keep this in front, and I would be really glad to answer those questions. So I cannot think of at this point, unless somebody else.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. I did get one more question that was, will you share this presentation material? And the answer to that from my side is yes. I will be uploading this presentation on the Emerging Leaders page of the OAUG website by tomorrow. And you can find that under the membership tab on the website. I'll also review you all as attendees once it's all set on the website to review. So you can review that and rewatch any of the tips you saw today. And you can contact me. My email address is also on the screen right now. Or Abhi, with any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, thank you for presenting today, and thank you all for attending.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Samantha.
Have a great rest of your Thursday, everyone.
Everybody, thanks. You too.
Bye.